Ambassador Z. Achikara's crystalline appendages trembled as she reviewed the human delegation's response for the third time. The message was brief, dangerously so, and completely unlike the verbose diplomatic communiques Earth had sent for the past 15 years. Denied, consequences will follow. 6 words. That was all humanity had offered after the Galactic Council's unanimous vote to quarantine their star system. The Voxian trade minister leaned back in his anti-gravity throne, his 3 eyes blinking in satisfied succession. They'll adapt. He clicked through his translator. They always do. Humans are nothing if not flexible. Shishikara wasn't so certain. She had spent 5 years on Earth as a cultural liaison, long enough to understand what the Council had catastrophically failed to grasp. Humanity didn't merely survive adversity, they weaponized it. The quarantine had been justified, at least by Council standards. Humanity's expansion rate was unprecedented. In just 2 centuries since achieving faster-than-light travel, they had established colonies on 47 worlds. They didn't ask permission, didn't wait for approval, didn't follow the carefully structured colonization protocols that had maintained galactic peace for 10,000 years. They simply went. The Council's response was meant to be civilized. No violence, no war, just a complete economic and spatial blockade. Humanity would be contained to their existing territories until they learned to respect galactic law. The measure passed 847 to 1, with only ZHKARA abstaining. The first sign of humanity's fury manifested 3 weeks later. The blockade fleet stationed at the Sol System's edge reported unusual activity. Human vessels weren't attempting to breach the perimeter. Instead, they were building something just inside the quarantine zone. Massive structures that bloomed like mechanical flowers in the darkness of space. Admiral Takon of the Krithian Enforcement Corps wasn't concerned. Let them build their monuments to defiance, he had announced confidently. They'll learn patience eventually. What the humans built weren't monuments. They were accelerators. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the completed ring structure, reflection ghostly in the observation window. Behind her, the quantum Ansible crackled with incoming data from 46 other human colonies. Each one reporting the same status. Construction complete. They think they can cage us, she murmured to her chief engineer. They forgot what happens when you corner a predator. The engineer, a grizzled veteran of the colony wars named Marcus Webb, allowed himself a grim smile. The Council's about to get a history lesson. Humanity had spent 15 years in the galactic community studying every species, every technology, every weakness. They had smiled and nodded and played the role of naive newcomers while there. Scientists dissected the very foundations of Council power. The Council controlled faster-than-light travel through their monopoly on stable wormhole technology. They had shared the basics with humanity, but kept the crucial elements proprietary. It was their ultimate leverage, their guarantee of control. But humans had something the Council lacked: spite-driven innovation. The accelerator rings activated simultaneously across all 47 human colonies. Not to create wormholes, but to collapse them. Throughout Council space, the carefully maintained network of FTL highways began to destabilize. Trade routes that had existed for millennia flickered and died. The economic infrastructure of 600 civilizations ground to a halt in the span of 3 hours. The Ansible networks lit up with panic. Ambassador Jakara watched the Council chamber descend into chaos. Representatives screamed in 17 languages, her translators struggling to keep pace with the overlapping accusations and demands. The Voxian trade minister's 3 eyes now blinked in asynchronous terror. They've destroyed themselves too. Their own colonies are just as isolated. But Jakara had learned something during her time on Earth. Something the Council had never bothered to discover. Humanity had colonized some of the harshest environments in their own solar system long before they reached the stars. Isolation wasn't a punishment for them. It was a starting condition. The human delegation's second message arrived as the Council chamber's artificial gravity fluctuated. Another casualty of the disrupted wormhole network. You attempted to cage us. We have freed ourselves and everyone else. The galaxy is no longer your monopoly. The old order is dead. Adapt or become irrelevant. We will remember Who voted for this? Admiral Takon's fleet, stranded without FTL capability, drifted uselessly at the edge of Sol System. His communications officer reported that human vessels were now approaching not warships, but massive cargo haulers. They were offering supplies, food, fuel, life support components. "This is Captain Rodriguez of the UNSV Persistence," came the transmission. "We understand you're having some difficulties. Despite recent disagreements, we're not going to let your crews die out here. We're transmitting coordinates for a temporary way station we've established. You're welcome to resupply and wait for your government to develop alternative FTL methods." The captain paused, and Takon could hear the smile in his voice. "We've already sent detailed specifications for human-developed FTL drives to every independent research institution in the galaxy. No patents, no restrictions. The Council's monopoly ends today. We figure it'll take most species about 6 months to replicate it. You're welcome to wait here, or you can accept our offer of a tow home using our vessels. Either way, the blockade is over." 3 months later, Ambassador Zia Chikara stood once again before the human delegation. The council chamber was half empty. Dozens of species had already departed to establish direct diplomatic relations with humanity, bypassing the council entirely. The remaining members had voted to rescind the quarantine and formally apologize. It was a meaningless gesture now. The council's authority had evaporated the moment humanity demonstrated that their power was an illusion. The human ambassador, a composed woman named Ambassador Okonkwo, accepted the apology with grace. "We didn't want this conflict," she said. "We would have preferred to work within your system. But you need to understand something fundamental about humanity. We are explorers, innovators, and survivors. When you tried to bind us, you didn't weaken us. You reminded us of what we're capable of when pushed." Kara approached Okonkwo after the session concluded. "You destroyed the entire galactic infrastructure out of spite," she said quietly. Okonkwo shook her head. "No, we freed it. Your council maintained control through artificial scarcity. We introduced abundance. Every species now has access to the stars without paying tribute to a central authority. We didn't destroy your galaxy, Ambassador. We democratized it." Chikara departed Earth for the final time. She looked back at the blue-green world that had appended 10,000 years of galactic order in less than a year. She had tried to warn them. She had tried to explain. Humanity didn't seek dominance. They sought freedom. And they would burn down any cage built around them, even if they had to rebuild the entire galaxy from the ashes.